You've been taking a lot of hits in the press lately. How are you holding up? You holding up okay?
I'm doing well. It's been an interesting year,
Yeah.
no question about it. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, every day, millions of people still invite us into their homes to deliver the news. I am not a guy who complains. I am the luckiest guy. I love this job. I really do.
Call it the goodwill tour for Matt Lauer. That's him on The Tonight Show. He and The Today Show have taken some big hits over Ann Curry's exit. Morning TV's a rough and tumble business with money, ego, and a whole lot of pressure. New York Times' Brian Stelter is getting a revealing look at it all with his new book, Top of the Morning, inside this cutthroat world. Brian, welcome to you.
Thanks for having me.
So you've been putting the cat among the pigeons with this book. Many people calling you Matt Lauer's nemesis. He now appears to be on a bit of a damage control press tour, doing a few talk shows and so on. What do you think is really going on now at the Today Show?
I think the Today Show is in comeback mode, just as it should be. It's about a year ago that it started to lose to Good Morning America. Ann Curry being ousted made that change in the ratings official. They haven't been able to get back to first place since she left, since she was forced out, that is. But now the show's trying to get back to #1, and it's fun for viewers to watch it try because in some ways it's a better show than it has been in a long time.
It was interesting watching Matt Lauer with Jay Leno because, of course, they've both been through the PR wars this year, and yet both remain incredibly talented television personalities and hosts. Are they good friends? Do they know each other well, do you know?
Well, we heard Matt last night mention to Jay Leno that they talk sometimes about each other's shows. They do seem to be friendly. They are in similar situations. They've been doing a job for a long time. They're great at their jobs, and yet people are wondering who's next, who's in line to replace them. Of course, we know that Jimmy Fallon will be taking over for Jay Leno, and now that speculation shifts over more to Matt Lauer.
Right, I mean, I remember Jay Leno telling me once when we had a coffee together that it all goes with the territory of being #1. And Matt Lauer was #1 for a very long time.
Right.
Jay Leno is still #1. Is it just the traditional tall poppy syndrome that if you're right there at the top, you're going to get gunned down?
There's a lot to that. The country likes to build people up, then it likes to tear them down, but then they get built back up. And I think that might be the phase that Matt Lauer is entering. A lot of fans, understandably, were angry at him when they saw Ann Curry tearfully leave the show because they didn't know who else to blame. The bosses at the network never came out and really explained what they were doing. So it was Matt Lauer that got the blame. And I think he was very frustrated that his bosses didn't do a better job of defending him. But like he said on Jay Leno, he's not a complainer. My sense is that he has not been complaining a lot about how he's been treated. He gets up in the morning, goes to work, and he wants to prove his detractors wrong. And that's one of the reasons why it seems like a really interesting show to watch right now.
If you had been running NBC, would you have fired Ann Curry when they did?
Well, of course, I don't get paid nearly enough to answer this question, but I'd like to think I wouldn't have promoted her in 2011 because that was the fatal mistake. Promoting her in the first place is where things started to go wrong. Removing her was the right thing to do by lots of different measures, but it was just done the wrong way. She didn't agree to it. She felt like she was being rushed off the stage. You have to wonder if they had given her a little more time, maybe taken her off the stage at the end of the year rather than in the middle of the year, well, maybe it would have gone a little easier. But really, the fatal mistake was a year earlier. They weren't thinking about who else to put next to Matt Lauer. They just promoted her instead of being more creative and taking a risk. And, you know, I suppose if we all had our crystal balls, that's what we would go back and do differently.
Now, you work for the New York Times, and you've been giving CNN a bit of a rough time about inaccurate reporting over the Boston bombings. And then, as I discovered when I began tweeting one of your colleagues, you yourselves have dropped a few clangers in the reporting of the Boston bombings. Were you right to be dishing out a few stones into glass houses, do you think?
Well, I thought David Carr's column was right on, but you make an interesting point, which is that anytime any media company messes up, even if it's a small mistake, even if it's something that most viewers or readers don't notice, it can hurt the credibility of that place, as well as its competitors. But listen, the overarching issue is everybody's got to slow down a little bit. The Twitter era has probably made journalists a little too eager to press send and to hit publish and to say information that turns out to be inaccurate on the air. If we all slow down a little bit, I think viewers and readers will be thankful for that.
I completely agree with that. Brian, it's a terrific book, a great read if you're into morning TV, as most people are. A lot of good detail in there about what's really been going on behind the scenes. Congratulations on the success. It's a New York Times bestseller, a bit embarrassing for you if it hadn't been, of course, given you worked there, but congratulations nonetheless.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.